welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to do another spread in my sketchbook because it's been a little bit as it goes. This month was very busy, so I want to get back into the habit of sketchbooking, but it is even more special because I'm testing out a new art supply today, which is this. I am so excited to be trying out these acrylic markers from arrtx. Thank you so much to arrtx for sending me these. I was just blown away when they reached out and offered to send me these. I was like, what, me? Okay. I love acrylic markers. I already know that I love acrylic markers, so I was very excited to try these. Let's unbox them and see how they are. This was sent to me. I did not pay for this, but all opinions will be my own. So yeah, let's go ahead and open them. You have no idea how patient I've had to be because I wanted to open this the moment I received it in the mail, but I wanted to wait so that I could unbox it with you guys. Hold on, this part's gonna be kind of loud. So this is what the box looks like. Let's go ahead and open this up. Acrylic markers are nice because they're kind of like paint. It's like you're working with paint, but you're working in a marker form, and it makes it a little bit easier to deposit the paint onto the paper. It's really nice. Yeah, so when we open, we have, oh my gosh, it's so sweet. Little thank you card. And we have labels. So I think the deal is that we have to label the markers ourselves, which is kind of cool. So that is going to be what I'm going to do now. I love organizing things and everything, and I see that these are not in any particular order, or are they? Actually, never mind. They're in the order that they're listed on the sticker paper, but I just know when I use these in my personal usage, I am most likely going to be organizing these in rainbow order, just like I did with my ohuhu markers when I got those. So let's go ahead and start labeling. While I understand that this might seem tedious to some, I personally really enjoyed the process of labeling each marker. It gave me an opportunity to take them all out and swatch them and reorganize them back into the order in the box that I wanted them to be, which was a little harder than I was expecting, but I will get to that later. But yeah, I was able to just put on a podcast and listen and just relax and label my markers. For someone like me, it was very enjoyable. I liked it very much. It's almost like a personalization aspect to it too, because technically, aside from the small circular stickers, the other stickers, you could technically put them wherever you want on the marker. I decided to put them above the arrtx logo, but you could put them wherever you want on your marker that will be easy for you to see. And in the manual that it came with, it also recommended you can put it down on the paper next to the swatches. I think for me personally, I don't think I would do that, just because I would want to see it in another location on the marker than just the back of it, so that I could more easily see what color I'm picking up. But yeah, that's just another idea. I don't know, you could put them literally wherever you want, so that's cool. Oh, that's awkward. We've come across a dud. So this marker's out of ink, so that's not cool, but whatever, that's just 1 out of 90, so we'll deal. And these two markers, I was really struggling to find the right color labels. It really bothers me that they're so off color than what they're supposed to be, but you know what, we're just gonna have to deal with that too. That easily segues us into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which was that the labels didn't all exactly fit the colors that they were intended for, I feel like. So that made it a little bit of a challenge to match the labels to the correct markers. Certain ones were easier and more obvious, but others, I had to swatch a couple markers at a time of similar looking colors just to really weed out and find which label went with which marker. So that made it just a little bit of a challenge, but overall it's really not too big of a deal. And then one more thing to be aware of if you get these markers is that some of the markers have a lot of paint content in them, where others deposit a normal amount of paint and others are a little bit on the drier side. I wouldn't say I ran into too many dry markers per se, except for the one, but I did run into a couple markers that wanted to deposit a lot of paint, so just be very careful about that so you don't drip paint where you don't intend to. And then I just wanted to share these last 4 labels. I feel like I really did my best labeling all these markers, but the last 4 just really did not match the last 4 markers. For me, it wasn't that big of a deal because I do have the swatches, so although the label itself doesn't match the marker, I can always just look back at the swatch, and that's a more accurate representation of what I'm going to get anyway, so yeah. By this point, it was late in the evening, and lining them all up in perfect rainbow order was a little bit more challenging than I was expecting it to be, just because they weren't in order on the swatch paper, but that's just another thing that I could totally just go back and fix later. So this is the final swatch, what it looks like. First impressions, I really love how bold and vibrant the colors are. Hoping that the camera picks it up. And the coverage is really nice too. There are a couple of colors that are a little streakier than others, like C12, C45, 28, and obviously 34. That one was I think that one was just a dud. A shame about that, but it looks like 43 is like kind of similar to it, that maybe if I mixed it with a little white, it could be a similar color to that. So no big deal there. And then I really love how it comes with the two metallic colors, 91 and 92 being gold and silver. So I thought that was a cool touch. So I've been trying to think about what I wanted to draw first with these. Usually with any sketchbook spread, if I don't know what to draw, the first thing I'll typically go to is fruit and stuff. So I'm gonna look up some references for strawberries. Reference found, so we're gonna start working. So now I'm just laying down the sketch with my red Pilot Color Eno pencil in the size 0.7 and then jumping right into just using the markers. So paint markers work pretty similarly to acrylic paint. It's very opaque and it's different than watercolor where you have to like lay certain things down first. Like I think with watercolor, it's typically good to lay down the lightest colors first and then build your way up. But with these, you don't really have to worry about layering things a certain way as much because they're pretty opaque, most of the colors. I mean, the lighter colors you do have to lay down a couple times over just to get a good solid color, especially if you're putting it on top of a darker color like you'll see in the subsequent speed paint. It's nice not having to worry about layering things a certain way or certain colors bleeding into each other. I'm so used to working with watercolor, so that's like a really common issue I have, and I'm kind of impatient, so I want to always like keep drawing when the colors haven't really dried yet. So with acrylic paint, I don't really have to worry about that. Another thing about acrylic paint, I mean traditional acrylic paint, it's kind of a hassle to get out my brushes and my paints and my water and my palette, and then I have to clean my palette afterwards, and it's always such an ordeal. So I don't usually use acrylic paint too often anymore. I would like to, but I don't always have like the willpower to be doing all that. But with these acrylic paint markers, it just solves that issue entirely. It's so easy. The colors deposit so nicely, and it's a very odd feeling. Like it feels like you're painting, but you're using a pen, and I don't know, it feels like you're using a really good quality solid marker. It almost feels like you're doing digital art, but on paper. It's really cool. It's very nice. The only thing I really have to compare to these arrtx acrylic paint markers are my Shuttle Art acrylic paint markers. I had went out and bought a pack of Shuttle Art acrylic paint markers a while back because I was really curious about how they handled when I had found out that acrylic paint markers were even a thing. I found out about them through basically Shuttle Art. So I was influenced and I bought a pack for myself, and I really enjoyed using them. That was my first exposure to acrylic paint markers, and that's how I knew I liked using that kind of tool. But in comparison to the arrtx markers, the Shuttle Art markers have a little bit less, like, I think they're a little bit lower in quality just because I do have to shake them a lot more often to be able to deposit color from the marker. And with the arrtx markers, there's not really any shaking necessary. The color deposits pretty nicely. I did mention that there are a couple markers that are on the drier side, but it's really not a lot. It's more likely that you're going to get a marker that wants to deposit a lot of paint. I really didn't encounter that many dry markers, but with Shuttle Art, you do have to definitely shake the marker to get the paint out. Another thing about the Shuttle Art markers is that some of the nibs of the markers just like come out of the body of the marker entirely, if that makes sense, which can be very like inconvenient to use, especially when I'm taking the cap off. I think is when it happens to one particular of my Shuttle Art markers. The nib always like comes out of the marker, and then I always have to be careful because I don't want the paint to fall out, but never encountered anything like that with arrtx. So the Shuttle Art markers are not like bad necessarily. I do like using them too, but I just have to say that overall I think I had a better experience with the arrtx brand, so it is worthy of note. It's nice to have both of them now because now I have an even wider range of colors to use, and that's another thing with paint markers. In my experience, they're not really that blendable. I mean, I guess I never really tried it. Well, I don't know. I mean, you can see in the demonstration as I layer different colors and stuff, the way that they're designed to deposit the paint, they're not really designed to be blended, I think. I mean, they dry pretty quickly, so there's not really like blending of any colors on the page. But with regular paint, you know, of course, like you blend different colors to make new colors. What I'm trying to say is having both my set of Shuttle Art markers and my set now of arrtx markers, it's an even wider range of colors to use from because it's not really easy to blend the colors, and that's just something about acrylic paint markers in general, not necessarily a fault on arrtx markers themselves. But the arrtx set itself does have a pretty wide range of colors. Like if I had only had this set, I would be pretty satisfied with it. I mean, it's not like every color in the world, but I do appreciate that it has a wide range of bold, vibrant primary colors, and it has a lot of nice earth tones too, so I can imagine drawing a wide range of characters with these markers, and a lot of greens too. I just love nice natural colors, and you can see in this piece too I do use quite a couple of the green markers, and you know, using them all together and blending them together, it's nice. It gives a really
natural sort of feel to the piece. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm pretty satisfied with the range of colors that arrtx has even by itself, but I don't know. I just so happen to have another set so I can enjoy even more colors. I just really wish the color labels on the markers were more accurate. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I mean, labeling the markers itself, that's not really the worst thing in the world to me. Like I said, I like to organize, I like to put things back together my way, so that really wasn't that much of a problem for me, but it was a little bit frustrating that not all of the labels matched all of the markers exactly as they should have. I think they were intended to be in the box in order that the labels were in the sticker paper, because one glance I looked at it and that's what it looked like, but then like going through, like I said, a lot of the colors were so similar, which can also be a good thing. It's a wide range of colors, but like they were so similar that I had to really swatch a couple and analyze which one is the correct label to put on this one, and I still ended up with the last 4 of my markers being like totally different colors than the last 4 sticker labels that I had. And then there's 2 in there. There's like a bluish one and a pinkish one that are just totally different colors from their labels too. So that's probably my biggest complaint that I would have so far with the arrtx markers, but that doesn't really have too much to do with the usage of them. Just like, I guess in the future, if I'm going to grab one, I might be a little bit confused in the moment, but again, I always have the swatch, and that's something like that's good practice to be in anyway with any art supply, is just to make a swatch of it to begin with, so that when you're using it later down the road, it kind of helps you see like exactly what the color is going to look like on the paper. So really not a big deal, but would have been nice if that part was a little better. So I am really loving how this piece turned out here. It was a very trust the process kind of piece. I'm not kidding you. In the very beginning, I was wondering if I should even like just scrap the whole thing altogether and just do something new, because I really wasn't sure how it was going in the beginning, especially because like I'm not used to traditional painting a lot. I'm typically doing digital painting nowadays, and although the art markers were very easy to handle and they were a pleasure to use, I still was like, oh my gosh, I don't remember how to do this, and I think I'm doing a bad job. But as the piece went on and became more rendered, and as the whole thing was kind of coming together, it started to look a lot better. So trust the process in your pieces. If it looks ugly to start out with, just be patient, give it a chance, and it might turn out better than you think. But yeah, beautiful job on the part of the markers. I'm very impressed with what they can do. So I wanted to test out a couple other of the colors. So off camera, I did a couple more doodles here on the page, this Cloverfield and Sky. I found out here with the cloud piece that layering them too much will cause the page to get a little grainy, like the paper grain will come up, so that is also important to note there. And as you can see, I'm just going to end this video off by drawing a character. So the character I picked to draw was Miuichigo from Tokyo Mew Mew, one of my favorite anime of all time. It was the first anime I ever watched in Japanese on YouTube in 3 parts in 360p. The real ones know. Yeah, I definitely didn't want to end this review before I drew a character, because that's the kind of art I'm usually doing anyway, is character art. I'm not usually just drawing like objects or scenes, so it was important to try and test that out. And Miuichigo is a character that I've been kind of drawing a lot throughout my teen years and throughout adulthood. I've drawn her so much that she's one of those characters that I can just draw off the top of my head. I really don't have to use a reference too much when I draw her. I did use a reference this time though, because I didn't want to mess anything up for this video. But yeah, again, as you can see, just kind of like reiterating what I said before, the markers are so easy to use. They layer really beautifully. If you're using a lighter color and you're putting it on top of a dark color, you may have to layer it a couple times just to make it more opaque, but on its own, the lighter colors are totally fine. I meant to say earlier, I'm not sure if it came off the right way, that if you put the lighter color on top of the darker color, it might show through a little bit, but the lighter colors on their own are totally fine. This piece is just reminding me how I have been feeling so nostalgic recently. I have been going back to Tumblr, I have been looking up old anime from when I was a teenager. I don't know, I've been in such a nostalgic mood lately. I don't know what it is. I think maybe because I've had a couple of kind of big life changes somewhat recently. I mean, I got married a year and a half ago and had a big move recently, and we're finally settling into our new apartment, and I am such a sentimental person. I really do not like change. Growing up in the same house my whole life, and once I had to leave that house, from there my life has just been a series of major changes, like in my job and what life looks like. So despite being a person that hates change, I kind of had to really survive and adapt throughout my 20s, because my 20s really did hold a lot of changes. Now, my 20s are not over. So So who knows what the rest of them are gonna look like, but so far it's been a wild ride. So when I think about it that way, it kind of makes sense why I've been feeling so nostalgic, because in very turbulent times, I think it's natural to kind of want to grasp onto what was familiar and, I don't know, just comfort yourself in a way. But yeah, so Miu Ichigo is just one of those classic anime characters. It's super nostalgic to me and I know how to draw her, so I thought she'd be a perfect example to demonstrate these markers in the video. This is about how it's turned out. I, off camera, lined it with a sepia colored Sakura Pigma Micron for the line art, and that concludes the drawing, and that concludes the video. I hope you really enjoyed today's video. It was so special. What a special landmark for the channel. I am so honored that arrtx chose to send me these markers. It was such a pleasure to use them, and I personally highly recommend them. I think they're a great product to try out and a great addition to any artist studio, especially if you're curious about acrylic paint markers. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, leaving a comment, letting me know your thoughts, and if you've watched this far to the end, consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thank you again so much for watching. See you next time!